Today, we are ending the year with talking about how you can elevate your glow up in 2025 to really become that girl and to radiate it girl energy. In this video, I'm going to be talking about 20 ways that you can truly glow up in 2025, no matter what your own personal desires and manifestations are. We want to see that whole vision board that you're making this year come to life. Not judge my nails in this video because yes, I'm in between sets and I'm missing 2 pointers right now. Now, if you're like me, every single year I set the bar a little bit higher than I did in the previous year. But I think that this year is going to be a little bit different. Not saying we're not going to set the bar high, not saying we're going to, elevate a little bit more, but my approach is just a little bit different because I'm going to be using all of the knowledge that I've accumulated from doing this in years prior to the 2025 glow up. So if you're ready to take your manifestation journey to the next level, stay tuned. This video is for you. Hey everyone, welcome back to Just Like Magic with Julia. Today we are talking about 20 things that you can do to become that girl in 2025. Now, who's to say that you're not that girl already? But these 20 things will just have you radiating and you will just know, everyone around you will be like, yo, she's that girl. If you don't believe me, I'm gonna put some different texts. Before I drop these 20 glow up tips, I am just going to ask you to please like, subscribe, and comment on this video. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so if there's one thing that I'm gonna need you all to do for me in this year, can we please, I beg of you, stop saying new year, new me. I'm not hating. I'm not trying to stunt anyone's growth. I'm not trying to hate on anyone's vision for themselves, their manifestations, but here's why I think that saying should just be done away with. Think about it. Think about what it really means. Why are we so quick just to abandon ourselves just because it's January 1st? We need to go into the new year embracing who we already are. This actually will speed up our manifestations and radiate that energy that we're looking to exert. Your past is a part of you. And when you dismiss your past by saying new year, new me, you're dismissing the foundation that you've built for yourself. You need a foundation, no matter how crazy, no matter how sad, no matter how scary or embarrassing, you need a foundation. And that foundation literally has gotten you to where you are today. Even if you're not in the best place, you're sitting here watching a video about how you can glow up. And so your foundation brought you to a place to even want to better yourself. When you continuously say, new year, new me, you're subconsciously programming yourself to basically believe that the current you isn't enough. Instead about creating this new you, let's talk about refining and amplifying the current version of you. One important thing that we are taking into 2025 is this concept of alignment over force. A big reason why so many people make vision boards and have all of these goals, but then have issues achieving them or seeing them come into fruition is because they focus on the images, they focus on the bigger picture or the end goal. They focus on what this looks like and how this will change their lives for the better, which is great. But when you're just focusing on something for how it will shift you or what it will look like or what aesthetic it'll give off or what people will think when you have it. Now, what this does is it creates a false perception of what it will take from you to get this goal in the end. Remember, manifesting means that we're putting in actions and we're doing our part, operating from a very high energy, high frequency, and then letting it go. Not just thinking something and it happening because it's magic. So in order to make sure we don't fall off track by the 3rd week of January, we are going to avoid all of that. And instead, we are going to talk about 20 things that you can do to balance your mind, your body, and your soul in 2025. Balancing your mind, your body, your spirit will actually make you more excited to put in what's required of you in order to manifest your dreams. AKA, we are going to be aligning with ourselves and doing these things from a place of soft energy, not force, not too much hustle, not too much grind to a point where it's now struggle. Just soft energy. We're doing these things because we want to. Remember, soft energy attracts, it's confidence, right? Like when you do things with ease and you care, but you don't overly care, and you're not operating from a place of anxiety, you're operating from a place of confidence. That's powerful energy. That's energy that attracts. Force repels because it's from desperation. When you feel like you have to force something, it's because you're letting your negative emotions really take over you and you feel like you have to take control. And that kind of ties into desperation and it repels. Now, I just want to make a quick disclaimer that no physical appearance, no physical item, no material item will ever determine if you're that girl. No man, no car, no bag, no shoes, no job, no salary, no body will ever determine that girl energy. That girl energy comes in all shapes, all sizes, all colors, all attitudes. But the one thing that they all have in common is confidence. And that's why at the beginning of this video, I spoke a lot about mind, body, and soul. Because no matter what, your mind, your body, and your soul all work together. One part is neglected, the other two will be out of whack. And so in order to operate at the most high frequency, at the most high energy, in order to be confident, you need to make sure your mind, body, and soul are all in perfect unison. So no matter what your personal vision board manifestations are for 2025, you can apply these 20 tips to your own individual goals, modify them the way that you like, tweak them, but they can all be applied to you. So with that being said, let's start with the mind category. The first thing that falls under that mind category, boo, is reflection. In order to even think about what we want to do for 2025, we have to understand what went well in 2024 and in previous years and what we want to improve on. So in order to do that, we need to reflect. But reflection can actually be a tool that we use throughout the year or throughout our life. It's really important to check in with yourself. It's really important to take stock about how things are going in life and how you're feeling and how you're reacting. Reflection can be a really important way to develop insight as to how you're feeling and to develop insight and awareness as to what your goals are and how you're changing throughout time. Life is a journey. We're always changing on this journey. It's a part of growing up. And the fact that you are someone who's watching this video and hopes to manifest and hopes to cultivate positive goals and desires for herself, that's really key. And reflection is an important part of developing a relationship with yourself. When I think of self-reflection, I always envision like two friends kind of like sitting down over drinks or like coffee or something and like just like unpacking their day. And you know how like when you talk to another person, you may hear something that you're saying differently or like gain advice from another person's perspective? Self-reflection actually does that for you. And so reflection actually brings me to another tip, which is journaling. Now, I don't know why, but for some reason, I feel like journaling just gets a bad reputation. I think that people think that they have to like sit down with like a notepad and just like write, and it has to be in like a form, or like they don't know what to write about, and so like they just want to avoid it altogether. Journaling can actually be really, really, really exciting. It's just there are different ways to approach it. Just the other day, I was looking through some old books and I actually found this book that I got at like Five Below for like $5, and it was like Choose Your Path journaling book. And so it had 8 paths. It was the path to healing, the path to a dream, the path to overcoming a situation, and there were just like 8 different paths. And there were different prompts for the different paths at any stage that you were on. And I don't know, I was reading back some of like my answers to the prompts, and it was so amazing to see how much I've grown from the point that I started journaling to now. And I feel like that's a great example of what to look for when you're just starting to get into journaling, right? Like there are so many different things that you can do to make journaling more exciting. You can literally go on Google and type in journaling affirmations for healing, journaling affirmations for getting over a breakup, journaling affirmations to reflect, journaling affirmations to boost my sense of body image. Literally anything, it's there. So if journaling seems like a tedious task to you, I would just recommend starting off slow. You don't have to write a whole novel. You don't have to write pages and pages of a response. You can even just bullet point to begin with. But journaling is so important because it provides a sense of relief. You are physically releasing emotions and thoughts that you have in your head that you don't even know sometimes are there onto paper. And so when you release it, you get to let go of it and you get to move on. Journaling is also really amazing because when you read back your responses, you get to see some thoughts or feelings that you may have that you don't even necessarily know are as prevalent. Or maybe when you read it back, you kind of develop like a new insight as to why it's there. I don't know. I feel like when I journal, I gain a different perspective when I read my responses back. Maybe when I read my responses back, I see that I don't like that I feel a certain type of way and I feel motivated or inspired to want to take action to change that. One thing I will say about journaling is that 9 times out of 10, when we read back our journals, you will see that you may have some negative thoughts or feelings towards yourself. Now, this brings me to my next glow up tip, which is really watching the way that you speak to yourself this year, speak about yourself this year, and incorporating positivity. As you all know by now, right? We get back what we put out. And if we're trying to be that girl, if we're trying to radiate it girl energy, that starts with us. So you can't be that it girl that's walking around saying, oh yeah, no, I'm not good at this. Oh yeah, no, I'm not good at that. Oh, this person doesn't like me. Oh, I didn't get what I wanted. Oh, that person doesn't like me. No, 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 no. No, that's not what it girls do, babe. If you want to be that girl, you need to talk about yourself in a way that that girl would talk about herself. Now, I've spoken about this in multiple videos. I've spoken about the power of changing negative thoughts into more rational ones, even if we're not changing them into positive ones, right? We just want to provide truth. We want to provide context. And so I feel like that definitely needs to be an area of focus this year, because being that girl means loving yourself, means giving yourself grace, means giving yourself a chance to be positive. Now, don't get me wrong, everyone has bad days. It's not normal to feel 100% confident or positive at every point in time. But being that girl means that even in those moments where you're not feeling your best, you know that those moments don't dictate your worth. They don't dictate who you are. They're just moments. And the way that you think and talk about yourself will be the way that other people think of you and talk about you. It all starts with you. You have to be the first one to make that change. And part of making that change is actually warming up to the idea of embracing positivity. We live in a world that doesn't necessarily promote being positive. It promotes being pessimistic, or just plain old realistic. And if you ask me, being realistic is pretty much the same as being pessimistic, because you're putting limitations on what you think is real or possible to be real for you. Realism is really just highlighting what other people have set out to have you believe is possible for yourself. There's no such thing as being realistic. You create your reality. You have the choice to choose to be as optimistic as you can be with yourself and to take the cap off of any limitation that you place upon yourself, or to put that cap right back on and limit your growth. Making the shift to embracing positivity really just starts with perception. In every situation, even the bad ones, right? There are positive things. We just are not programmed to see the positive things all the time because we're just so programmed to focus on the negative, on lack. Part of embracing positivity is in those moments, in the toughest challenges, in, the toughest days of our lives, looking for the good. It doesn't mean, again, that we're not allowed to, feel our feelings or feel down or feel sad about something that's going on. But it means embracing the good in every situation, because guess what? When you embrace good, good will come. Another mind tip that I actually just got into this year, if I'm being quite honest with you, is reading. I always had a very love-hate relationship with reading. I have friends who really, really, really love to read, and I just never was like someone who loved reading books until this year. I always loved reading poetry, partially because I write poetry, and I didn't necessarily love reading any other genre. But a few years ago, I actually read The Alchemist, and I really, really, really loved The Alchemist. This year, because I moved into a new building and I have this like beautiful reading space now, I felt inspired. And so I actually bought Russ's It Was You All Along, which, by the way, if you're into self-help books, go get that book because that man poured his heart into that book and I loved it. Anyways, I realized that ding, 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 I love self-help books. When I started to read more about what I was actually interested in, I really enjoyed reading. It never really occurred to me that I just never was reading the books that I liked. I think I was just always forced to read in college and in school that I never thought reading could be something that I thoroughly enjoyed until now. Whatever genre of books that you like, read. Reading can be so amazing for the mind for so many different reasons. It's great to just have as an outlook, to relax, to provide you peace, but you also can learn so much from reading. Even if you love reading romance novels or poetry, anything that you like to read, you can learn from, but you're also stimulating your brain in a functional way. And my final point for mind is mindful consumption. Mindful consumption really refers to being very, very intentional with what you're consuming. And this means TV, this means music, this means books, this means social media. Literally everything that you are consuming into your mind, you want to be intentional about. Now, this doesn't mean that we have to cut out TV. This doesn't mean that we have to cut out social media or music, nothing like that. But it just means being very intentional with what you're taking in and how it's impacting your feelings, your thoughts, right? On this manifestation journey for 2025. It girl energy, that girl energy starts with leading. It does not start with hopping on every trend. It does not start with comparing yourself. It does not start with, looking at the next girl and trying to be just like her. It starts with embracing yourself, right? And so in order to embrace ourselves, we have to take time to really get to know ourselves. We have to pay attention to ourselves. We have to really sit with ourselves. And it's really hard to do that sometimes when there's a million different distractions going on. Social media, TV, YouTube, right? All can be amazing tools to help you become that girl. But it's also important that you're careful with what you're consuming, because I know for a fact my algorithm isn't just self-development. For this new year, I want you to make a promise to yourself that you're going to prioritize you. This means that if there are certain people that you're following on Instagram that don't make you feel good when you see their stuff, like maybe it brings out a sense of envy in you, or maybe you have a habit to compare yourself to them, maybe we unfollow them this year. Maybe we make the choice to prioritize you. I hate to say it, but there are even certain shows. Whenever I used to watch Grey's Anatomy, I used to want to cry. If I watched Grey's Anatomy back to back to back, I would want to stay in bed and just sulk, because it would just make my mind go to a different place. I would wake up motivated and I just wouldn't want to do anything by like the third episode of Grey's Anatomy. I'm not saying you can't watch your favorite shows, but on days where you're trying to be really intentional, you have to be intentional with what you're taking in, because TV, music, everything really does affect the way that you think. Okay, moving on to body. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that I have on this list, but before I do so, I want to make a disclaimer that when I talk about body, this doesn't mean that you need to be trying to fix your body or shift your body or have body goals. Your body is a physical representation of who you are. And that doesn't mean that it needs to look a certain way for you to represent yourself a certain way, but we should all be taking care of our bodies, making sure that we're healthy, making sure that we're feeling good. I think that the number one thing that I want to start with is diet. Now, again, I'm not saying that we all need to eat the same diet. I'm not saying that you need to lose weight, that you need to gain weight, that you need to even maintain weight. You can make that choice for yourself. What I'm saying is finding a diet that works for you. As women, as we get older, our bodies change. We develop new hormones. Our menstrual cycles can even be changing. We have a lot that goes on in our bodies. We need to be making sure that we're taking care of our bodies. And a part of taking care of our bodies is really monitoring what we're putting into our bodies. So I know that everyone has a different type of preference as to how you choose to eat, what you choose to consume, what foods you tend to avoid, what foods you tend to gravitate towards. I'm not here to lecture anyone or to sway anyone to really just go one way. But what I will say is make sure that you're choosing foods that really fuel your body. Now, girl, I'm a foodie, okay? So I don't want you to think that I'm lecturing you or talking like this is easy, because I love good food. Good food that isn't necessarily great for my body. In 2024, one of my goals was to really start balancing that out. I wanted to start eating foods that would really impact my body in a positive way, that wouldn't make me feel bloated, that wouldn't make me feel nasty after eating it. And sometimes that can just be a mental thing too, right? Like, I know when I maybe eat a meal that it's high in calories, I may take that meal down, I may love it, but I kind of have like this guilt in the back of my head if I know that it's going against a goal of mine. I didn't want to feel that way for the majority of this year. Now, don't get it twisted. I still went out, I still ate, I still had, good food, but I think it's all in balance. And I think that nowadays, bringing it back to social media, there's food all over social media. There's restaurants to try, different, recipes to try, different fast food to try. It's all so accessible. It's also in front of us, and it all can look really, really good. But we have to remember that our health comes first, and that while food can look really good, it doesn't necessarily add up to being good for us. With diet, I will also say that my next point for body is supplements. So if you are a grown girly, if you are 20, maybe not even 20, maybe 18 and older, you may need to start taking supplements, vitamins and supplements. Now, some of the supplements that I personally take, I take vitamin B, I take vitamin D, and then I live in a colder climate and I hate the cold. My immune system goes crazy in the cold. I get sick really fast. So I take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C every single day. And on top of that, I also take collagen because, as we get older, we have to maintain good skin. And I take pumpkin seed oil for my hair. So again, those are just the vitamins and supplements that I take for myself and my goals and what work for me. Maybe if, for example, your goal is to grow your hair nice and long, maybe you take biotin, maybe you take pumpkin seed oil. If your goal is to increase your mood, maybe you take fish oil. If your goal is to sleep better at night, maybe you take magnesium. There are so many different things that you can do and that you can even research to customize towards your individual goals. But I will say that taking supplements and taking vitamins is a game changer because it's a quick way to really boost your energy and to boost your mood, especially on days where you're not feeling like you're naturally motivated. As women, sometimes we may not always be on, we may not always be, naturally inclined to do certain things. And so vitamins and supplements can really just be a way to get that necessary energy. Speaking of energy, you need to be moving your body. Now, you can call this exercise. I would just say doing something that feels good for your body, moving your body in some capacity. Again, we don't necessarily need to have a specific goal as to what we want to look like in order to make exercise a priority. It's important just to move your body and to give your body an outlet. Whether this looks like walking for you, whether it looks like lifting weights, whether it looks like yoga, dancing, Pilates, there are so many different ways that you can really move your body. And I think sometimes the common mistake that people make is that they'll try one, specific method or two and then think, okay, I don't like this because it feels like it's not natural. It doesn't feel like it's working for me. That's perfectly okay. Not every method will work for you, and that is perfectly okay. But I think in 2025, now is the time for you to really give your body a chance. Now is the time to really figure out what works for you. What do you like? What does this mean for you? Does this mean signing up for ClassPass and just trying different types of activities, different types of classes to figure out what works for you. Does this mean literally going on YouTube and searching up different methods and trying it in your living room first, right? There are so many different ways to figure out what works for you. I think it's just about being open to trying it. And also being open to pivoting away from something that maybe has worked for you in the past, but no longer works for you currently. I think as women, we tend to get fixated on maybe what has worked for us during one period of our life or during one period where your body looked one way. But as we grow, as we change, the things that we like may change. The things that work for us may change, and that's perfectly okay. So if something's not working for you, or if you're finding that you're having a hard time finding your way back to an old routine, that's perfectly fine. It just may mean that it's time to pivot. Okay, so this next point really excites me because it's something that I actually accomplished in 2024. This was the tip that really took me from regular girly to that girl, because once I did this, I will say I started receiving a lot of more compliments at work from my friends, from my family, about the energy I was exuding. And that is finding your individual style. Unless you live under a rock, you know that Pretty Little Thing, Fashion Nova, certain, bigger fast fashion companies really have taken over social media, really have taken over the market, which is great. Look, I get some of my pieces from Fashion Nova from time to time. I will not be hating on Fashion Nova, okay? But what I will say is, now that I have a 9 to 5, now that I am taking myself a little bit more seriously, now that I'm looking to elevate myself, to develop this new sense of confidence, I really wanted to develop my own individual signature style this year. What that looked like for me this year was really taking time to understand what looked good on my own body. So for me, I would go on Pinterest and I would look at women with my similar body type and see what types of clothes they were wearing in terms of fit. Right? And then once I understood the fit, that's when I can kind of pair the fit with the style. For me, I wanted to kind of develop this new style that combines all of the different parts that I like to portray when I am getting dressed up. I wanted to look like the perfect combination of office appropriate, that girl, ooh, she cute, but she's serious. And guess what? I did just that. I found one brand. And honestly, I feel like this is something that I don't hear a lot of people talk about. But if you could find like one brand that really just gets your style, that can be your staple brand. Usually this won't be like a bigger company, it won't be a bigger franchise. It'll probably be like an Instagram boutique or a smaller business that really exudes your own sense of style. But once you find that like one online store or one boutique or one store at the mall, right? Like you'll kind of be able to find more pieces that go with your individual sense of style because it'll be in one place most of the time. And to add to whatever individual style that you pick and decide what's good for you, I would also say experimenting. Now, I know that this is probably so funny for all of you because, as you can tell from all of the videos that I do, I'm so monochromatic. I love wearing black, I love wearing white, nudes, olives. I rarely ever do a pop of color, but this year I actually did play around with wearing different types of colors. I love doing red, I love doing blues, and I feel like even though it was kind of out of my comfort zone, it really does like do something to your overall energy. I figured out that like when I wear red, apparently red is my color. I receive so many compliments when I wear red. I would have never known that had I stood in my comfort zone. And also accessorizing, right? Like I think something that really can elevate your own sense of style that's so easy is really just accessorizing. You can literally go on Amazon, you can go on TikTok shop, put in small dainty earrings, gold, silver, whatever you choose, right? Rings, bracelets, you can choose what works for you. But literally, like these little details of accessories can really make you feel like that girl. And you also will just look very put together. It will elevate any sort of style that you choose. Okay, y'all. So With individual style comes an individual signature fragrance. Now, when I say fragrance, don't get scared. I don't mean that it needs to be expensive. I don't mean that you need to go to Sephora and drop $450 on a fragrance. No, I mean just taking the time to really understand what different scents that you like, what different scents that you want to smell like, right? Like when you walk into a room, how do you want people to kind of perceive you? Do you want to come off sweet? Do you want to come off gourmand? Do you want to come off musky? You can create the vibe, the energy that you want to give off just by choosing a fragrance. You really can. Scents have that power. I don't know about y'all, but if I hug someone that smells good, even if I don't think that they're the most attractive person in the room, if you smell good, you can go from like a 5 to a 7 in my book, at least. Again, you don't need to go to Sephora. You don't need to go to, a really expensive fragrance shop and invest in a high quality fragrance. If you want to, go for it, right? But as a woman, you want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. You want to make sure that when you're leaving the house, after you put your accessories on, you have a fragrance on. You want to smell good. The thing about a signature fragrance is when you put that on, people start to associate you with that signature fragrance. That just is so powerful, right? Like to associate a scent with you. I just love that concept. But for me, right, like I really got into gourmand scents this year. I know it was like a little trendy, but I really, 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 really love gourmand. And so I mix two fragrances. And I know that A, no one knows my combo, so no one's gonna be confused with me. And B, when I walk into a room, when I walk into my office, like people always compliment my smell. And they now associate that smell with me. Which brings me to my next tip. Romanticizing your self-care routine. I feel like in order to really romanticize your self-care routine, you have to want to do it. I think a lot of routines fail because the why as to why you're doing it in the first place isn't strong enough. It's natural human nature for all of us on this earth to want to look and feel our best. But what is the why that's really going to drive you to do it? What are the important things that you are going to be prioritizing this year? Is it your hair? Is it your makeup? Is it your body care? In order to really prioritize our self-care routine, we have to make it fun. Everything in life has to be appealing to us if we're going to want to do it. As women, the best thing about us is that we have it in us to do things from a soft energy. So in order to do that, we have to romanticize certain things. So for me, for example, I just romanticized my shower routine. I have a soap, a body wash, a body scrub, a body oil, a body lotion that I cannot wait to use when I shower. Literally, like if I could shower 4 times a day right now, I would, because the scents that I picked out are just so amazing. I can't wait to get in the shower. I can't wait to use my bath oils. Like I really romanticize my shower routine because I wanted to make it fun, so I enjoyed it. Same thing with my hair routine. Honestly, I have really curly and wavy hair. I wear my hair straight. I wear my hair soft curled, right? And so that takes time. There was a time in my life where I hated doing my hair. Okay, I really did. But I wanted to make it easier for myself. So what did I do? I went on Amazon. I bought soft rollers, right? And now all I have to do is sleep with the rollers on. And when I wake up in the morning, touch up my roots real quick. You have to make things simple and soft for yourself in order to do them. If you come up with this routine that's so elaborate and it takes so much time, and you know that, you wake up in the mornings and you hate putting in, extra time and extra energy into your hair because you know that you're usually pressed for time, you're not going to do it. You have to be realistic with what you're working with and then think about ways to make things easier and fun for you. Okay, so with all of that, the next point is a getting ready routine. Now, what I mean by that is this saying, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Now, people have different approaches to this. One approach is to do high maintenance things in order to stay low maintenance. What that means is investing in high maintenance things, maybe such as nails, getting your hair done, getting your lashes done, in order to basically not have to frequently keep up with those things. Now, I know that this could sound like a luxury to some, but honestly, it really does work, especially in the lens of becoming that girl. If you're always ready, you always feel your best. Like, think about how you feel when you naturally have your hair done, your lashes on, your nails done. That's such a huge part of energy and confidence, right? Like when you look your best, you feel your best. And that's just a fact. It's science. But a getting ready routine doesn't just mean high maintenance. It literally can mean just your own getting ready routines. This means that making sure that you're setting a time to wake up in the morning so that you have time to really prepare yourself, whether you're going to school, whether you're going to work. Like, you want to create a getting ready routine so that when you leave the house, you feel like you are representing yourself to the fullest. I remember when I was in high school, I did not believe in this. I felt like I was going to school. I didn't need to put my best foot forward. I had no one to impress. But honestly, it's not about impressing anyone else. It's really about you. And you never know who you're going to meet. You never know what opportunities you're going to run into. And you never know who's taking pictures, by the way. You want to make sure that you feel your best. And I know for a fact, us girls, when we look our best, we feel our best. Making sure that you have your outfits picked out, maybe the night before, right? Like having an idea of what you're wearing to work, putting your thoughts and creativity into what you want to wear. What does your makeup routine look like in the morning, right? I think that this is such a huge part of getting ready. When I say doing your makeup in the morning, I don't necessarily even mean doing a full face. If you get those lashes done, girl, you could put on some concealer, some blush, and call it a morning. You can just go straight out the door. You're done. When I say getting ready routine, I really mean preparing for you to leave your house every morning, whether you have work, school, in a way that is representative of who you are and who you want to be. And the last body tip that we have is limiting substances. I know that we all have things to celebrate. I know that we all have, ways that we like to party, ways that we like to celebrate. And for some of us, maybe some ways that we like to feel relief or release certain things. Now, drinking and smoking, I know, are a huge part of party life. However, when you really think about your body and you really think about your goals, I don't know about you, but for me, I know that I can't be drinking all the time and have my mind on certain body goals, certain fitness goals, certain mental goals, because drinking takes so much out of me. So for me, in order to really get serious about my goals, I had to really identify what was preventing me from getting there. And I never really was a big drinker, to be honest with you, but the times that I did drink and I got home, even if I just had 2 or 3 drinks, I could feel myself the next morning being less motivated, not wanting to get out of bed, just wanting to kind of maybe eat certain foods that weren't conducive with what I wanted to achieve. It was kind of like this way of pulling me back into my old life. And for me, my personal opinions on drinking and smoking is it's a way of suppression, regardless of if you agree with that or not. If you're a person who can drink or smoke and it not affect you at all the next morning, more power to you. Even with that, sometimes we have to prioritize what is actually good for our bodies. Our bodies are not meant to be intaking large amounts of alcohol all the time. Our bodies are not meant to be inhaling smoke all the time. I know it could be hard to hear for some of us, but it's the truth. And so we have to give our body a break. Even if you're not someone who wants to stop those things, that's fine, but maybe doing detoxes, maybe just taking times out of the year, like a month. I know one of my friends was doing like dry January or something, to really just give your body a cleanse. And I think that when you cleanse your body and you feel the difference, that can be enough for you. Moving on to soul. So I think for soul, one of the biggest things is really just figuring out your identity, figuring out who you are and your own likes and dislikes and interests. We talk a lot about trends on this channel. We talk a lot about comparison on this channel. And that can be really, really, really overwhelming. It's so easy for all of us to just get lost in a society where everyone is just telling us who to be, what to like, what to not like. I want you to prioritize being a leader. And part of being that girl is being a leader. That girl doesn't always like what every other girl likes just because it's popular. That girl has her own opinion. That girl may not agree with everyone else, and that's okay. That girl may like things that not everyone else is on the bandwagon for. That girl is all about embracing who you are and being different. But in order to be different, you have to know what you do and don't like naturally. So for your soul this year, I want you to really take time and invest in figuring out your likes and dislikes. Now, I know you may think to yourself, oh, but I already know what I like. I already know what I don't like. Challenge yourself a little bit more this year because, again, you're growing, you're always evolving. Maybe what you don't like has changed. Maybe what you're willing to learn about has changed. Challenge yourself a little bit. Go and try to pick up a new skill. Go and try to pick up a new hobby. Take a class and expand yourself. Add to your identity. Your identity is always evolving. This one is a big one for all of you girlies who are really honing in on your natural confidence and your natural energy this year. And it's surrounding yourself with like-minded people. So imagine being that girl and then having people around you that are haters or are now jealous because you're that girl, which nowadays is really common. It's really possible. I urge you to really try to find a community, to find people who are like-minded. Now, the best way to do this, of course, is to meet people in person, to meet people at classes, to meet people by previous point, trying new things, right? But I understand that this isn't always possible and it can be just a little bit harder to do. So what I will say is if you can't physically surround yourself with like-minded people, surround yourself by like-minded people on your algorithm, on your social media. If you can't find people in your community, if you can't find people in your school or your job who are like-minded or who have the same goal, that's okay. But go on TikTok, try to find influencers or teachers with the same kind of niche or goals, or people who can teach you how to achieve these goals, achieve these niches. Try to immerse yourself with like-minded people as much as possible. The more like-minded people you have in your circle, or even that you're consuming like their content, the more you begin to think like them. The next point is spending time alone. So I don't know about you all, but I used to be the girl who hated being alone. I never wanted to sit by myself and do anything alone. I always wanted to be with friends. I always wanted to be stimulated. If I was alone, I was bored. That was just because I didn't enjoy my own company. Being alone doesn't necessarily mean being bored, doesn't need to mean being sad. It can be a time for you to really just relax. It can be time for you to compress. I find that being alone is a time for me to really just digest and to cleanse my own energy. In order to really maintain confidence, in order to maintain your own energy, your own identity, you need time to rest. You need time to process. You need time to recharge your own energy. And sometimes this can come in the form of being alone. It's really amazing for you to learn to be alone, because when you learn to be alone, you enjoy your own company and it makes you so independent. And when you love to be alone, people love to gravitate towards you because you're independent. You don't need anyone. That in itself can just boost your energy. And tagged along with being alone, prioritizing peace. So I know that peace can look different for everyone. I know that everyone has different home lives. It's really important for you to understand what brings you peace, because in order for you to prioritize peace, you need to know what peace looks like for you. Peace to me looks like harmonious relationships, really freeing friendships, beautiful energy, vacations, right? Like these are things that I know are within my scope, within my reach, and that bring me the utmost peace. So these are the things that I prioritize to do for myself in order to recharge my soul, my spirit, to be good every single year. I know that if I'm around certain people out of obligation, who maybe I love very dearly, but we just don't see eye to eye in terms of energy, my peace is going to be disrupted and I'm not going to be operating at my highest self. I'm not going to want to be chasing my goals because I'm going to be so pissed off all the time and not in my own, feminine energy because of someone else. So it's really important to prioritize your peace once you understand what that looks like for you. My next point, creating a sacred space. I was a girl not too long ago whose sacred space did not look sacred at all. I had a very small living space. It wasn't cute. And one of my biggest challenges was really creating a sacred space within that space. Now that I did it in that space, I can really do it anywhere else. Creating a sacred space just means creating a peaceful space for you. I finally moved. I had the privilege of decorating my room in a way that really represented me. All it means is really just creating visually a space for yourself that brings you happiness, that brings you joy, that brings you peace, that you go into and you feel like, okay, I'm here, I'm home, and I can really just let go of the day and just relax here. So whether that means putting up posters of someone who really inspires you, or putting pictures in your room of your family that you really love, or, getting decorations at TJ Maxx for the holidays and decorating your room. It can look different to anyone, but visually creating a room that is pleasing to you will help you enjoy being in your space. I know these next two are gonna hit different. Forgiveness work. In order to be that girl, you have to be willing to forgive certain things that have happened to you in the past, even if they don't necessarily merit forgiveness from you. I think the biggest thing in forgiveness work is to understand that you're not forgiving someone for them, you're forgiving them for you. And through forgiveness, we're really just releasing tension and negative energy that we're storing in our bodies, in our minds, in our hearts that are preventing us from moving forward. And so forgiveness is really letting go of things that have once tied us down to a certain belief or a certain feeling about ourselves, and really moving on from that. There's a lot of power in forgiving. And I think that one really amazing way that I actually learned about today is to maybe list a few people who have hurt you and write a letter to them, or pretend like they're right in front of you and tell them what they did to you and then forgive them. Or in that letter, write to them what they did to you or how they made you feel, and then let it go. Keep in mind, forgiveness comes when you're truly ready to forgive. There's no pressure. But prioritizing forgiving others is not necessarily something that you're doing for them. It's really what you're doing for you. And then lastly, acts of kindness. This is something that I don't see a lot of people talking about in these glow up videos. And I think that this is such a simple way to really just not only elevate you, but elevate the world and everyone around you. Kindness really is such a beautiful energy, not for the cliche reasons, but just because when you're being kind, you're being gracious and you're being grateful, and you're extending that to someone else. For me, at the ends of every year, I'm always looking for different volunteer opportunities or just different organizations that I can donate to, even if I don't have the time. There are so many different ways that you can be kind. It doesn't even necessarily mean volunteering. It can literally mean just, doing something, an act of kindness for someone in your family or a stranger on the street, within safety precautions, that really just demonstrate the character, the kindness, the generosity within you and your soul. And when you're generous, when you put that feeling out into the universe and extend it to someone else, that's what comes back to you. And that's like the gift that keeps on giving. I know it sounds super cliche, but it's so, so true. Okay, everyone, I hope you enjoyed these 20 tips to glow up and have you operating in that girl energy in order for you to manifest all of your desires and dreams. I am wishing you all an amazing 2025. I will be back with more tips. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Can't wait to see you all soon. Bye.